Good morning, everybody. I am Andrew Faber. You are, of course, listening to the Get Down. It is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. I hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. I hope everybody had a fantastic Monday. I hope everybody enjoyed the first episode of the podcast. We can only get better from here. I enjoyed hearing everybody's feedback, what you guys want to hear. Please tell me more. I'm happy to include any segments that would keep you listening, unless you just want to listen to my dulcet tones wake you up in the morning. I was asked one question, which is, why is it called the Get Down and not the Get Up if it's, what you listen to when you get up in the morning? And while a very clever question, I think a good answer to that is that it's an order of operations, right? You go to a concert, you're sitting down, you want to get up to dance, you want to get up to get down, right? And so you get up in the morning, and now you want to get down with the morning news of the day and all of the happenings, which, at least in Brooklyn, New York, is a cloudy day with a high of 78 and a low of 64. And, I always feel with this weather that, you can have these hot, sunny days or these cold, cool, cloudy, crisp fall days. And it's when you have the middle ground of like a cloudy, hot day in the middle of October, you pick a lane. I'm ready for one or the other, And so it was a gorgeous weekend, and now here we are. I think it's about to break, though. But in other news, there's going to be some more breaking news on Friday when they announced the Nobel Peace Prize. And so I don't know where that happens, but I was just picturing them, taking down these like jungle decorations for Jane Goodall. Not that she was going to win, and very sad what happened. But, of like all these jungle, they have these like chimps in, cocktail attire about to serve cocktails. And they're like, you guys got to go. we got to choose someone else. But no, it is sad. That just idea popped in my mind. If we want to go back to 2024, if you don't remember who won, it was Japanese organization Nihon Hidankyo, who was presented with the Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons and for demonstrating through witness testimony that nuclear weapons must never be used again. A very noble cause. Well, probably a little bit of both, right? Also, Arby's released steak nuggets the other day, which I need to try myself. I want to, that seems like the exact thing that's right up my alley. But due to the nature of the headlines that we see today, I couldn't tell if they are good or not. It's like, Arby's released steak nuggets. Here's what you need to know. And it's like, couldn't really suss anything out, but I didn't want to read it because I like to surprise myself with these things. I like to be your journalist in these types of matters. I know it's super important for me to be the journalist there, but I also saw another headline that said, Arby's takes aim at chicken nugget crowd with steak, which felt like very charged, very aggressive, which I feel like there's Chick-fil-A, they'll have the cows writing eat more chicken, and there's this protein war that is going on that I'm not clued in on, but has been happening since Popeyes released their chicken sandwich, and everybody had a chicken sandwich, and now here we are with these steak nuggets, and they've never been seen before. It's a new product of its kind. There's innovations going on in that space that is happening on the sidelines with everything else going on. But you know what? I'm here for it, and I'm excited to see how it goes. In more personal news, I'm doing some light fall cleaning. It's just some decluttering of my physical spaces, just making sure everything's tidy for fall, as well as digital decluttering, cleaning up all of my unread emails and, unsubscribing from emails. If you want to get less push notifications to your phone, you know what I mean? You want to minimize the amount that you get. And so if you get one that you always don't read, you might as well, when it comes in, unsubscribe from that email, and then you won't get that. And then piece by piece, you're going to, declutter that aspect of your life. Because if you're someone with 21,000 unread emails, it's come on, what are you doing? Delete the ones from, 2020 on, before that. You probably don't need them anymore. That coupon's not working, So, save the receipts, save all that stuff. But just generally, it's nice to have that clear space in mind. So now let's move on to celebrity birthdays, which if 10-6 had no celebrity birthdays, 10-7 is the exact opposite. It is rife with a lot of fun ones, starting with John Cougar Mellencamp, who turned 74 today. And I hope he is celebrating in the hot land. Sucking on a chili dog, outside a taste of freeze. I love that line, and I hope he's doing exactly that, just the American dream. John Cougar Mellencamp, enjoy, my friend. And whatever the exact opposite of that is, I believe his contemporary Vladimir Putin is doing on his birthday, where he turns 73. Cut from the same cloth as old Vlad, we have Simon Cowell, just kind of a, mean-spirited person in a way. Not that I'm comparing them, but he turned 66 today. And I feel like we as a generation are kind of missing that modern day Simon Cowell to discover someone like Taylor Hicks, American Idol season 5 winner in 2006. I mean, you probably haven't heard that name in a while, unless, of course, you're working at a bakery icing cakes because he turns 49 today. How about that? Hasn't really been up to much as per his Wikipedia page, but maybe he just hasn't updated it. Or someone, the Hicks fandom hasn't updated it, really. Who's to say? Anyway, Louis Capaldi turns 29 today, and if you told me that he was discovered on like a Britain's Got Talent or X Factor type thing, I would believe you. I don't believe that was the case as per his Wikipedia page, but I feel like maybe it's just like a One Direction effect where it's just like that's how I think of all these British pop stars, like you tell me Ed Sheeran was discovered that way, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, but maybe that's just my own generalization. But one British musician that I know did not get found that way is Tom York, who is a creep, a weirdo. What the hell is he doing on this list? He doesn't belong here. He does. He turns 57 today. I need to get into Radiohead. Haven't really listened to much. Kid A was Computer. OK Computer. Yeah, I need to listen. In Rainbows. These are albums that people love, critically acclaimed, that I just have not really had the chance to dive into. It just seems a little too sad for the type of music that I listen to. And then closing us out, we got Yo-Yo Ma, who turns 70 today. Just one of the best cellists of all time. I've had this idea before that the Yo-Yo Ma of certain industries, right? So you name another cellist. You can't. Yo-Yo Ma, even kids know who Yo-Yo Ma is because he's got a fun name. Let's be real. He's got the name of a toy. The yo-yo. The old yo-yo. And so until we get a kid named Ripstick, we're not going to... Regardless, the Yo-Yo Ma, like think of like golf, right? We have Tiger Woods or something. And there's a lot of new stars there, but just think, if you ask anybody, name a golf guy. Tiger Woods, right? Name a skateboarder. Tony Hawk. Sure, there's Rodney Mullins, but Tony Hawk is the premier he is the Yo-Yo Ma of skateboarding. Tiger Woods is the Yo-Yo Ma of golf. Trying to think of some other ones. Let's think. I mean, magicians. Maybe we don't really have one for magicians. We have Shaun White. Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of the extreme sports maybe have kind of the Yo-Yo Ma effect in there. Just kind of like the ones that show up for the Olympics. Apollo Ono. That's a name you haven't heard in a while, and it's not his birthday. Anyway, I feel like I'm kind of riffing here. We go National Days. National Propane Day. I grew up on propane, but I think charcoal is ultimately the superior barbecue medium. I love charred meats. I love getting the stuff on the sides, but I'm not going to talk about that on National Propane Day. Today's all about propane, and it's gas, right? It's also Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day. Trigeminal Neuralgia Awareness Day. So be aware of that. I don't know if anybody is. It's a chronic pain disorder that affects the nerve in your face. Something that I think an ice bucket challenge would be the worst thing you could possibly do, so we just got to celebrate it on October 7th every year, and we are now aware of it, all of you kind listeners. National Chocolate-Covered Pretzel Day. Shout out Asher's Chocolates. They make great chocolate-covered pretzels, and even better dark chocolate-covered graham cracker. Just a delicious product, so shout out them. It is National Taco Day. Of course, it's on a Tuesday every year. It's on the first Tuesday of October. You could probably check in to see if Taco Bell has a deal on something like that. I haven't clued in on it, but I imagine that's something that they would do. National Frappe Day. If you want to make a frappe at home, I recommend that you buy some xanthan gum. I feel like I would used to do it in a blender and it would get too hot. It would melt all the ice. But if you put a little, like a teaspoon, like not even, just a pinch of xanthan gum in there, just get a big bag. It's super cheap. It will thicken up your smoothies or your frappuccinos or your frappes. And you, my friend, will be off to the races. It's also National Fruit at Work Day. And I was thinking, we're just going through here. What's the best work fruit? I would guess banana. Some people probably say apple, but I just don't like... Bananas have a natural peel, oranges have a natural peel, and are naturally, cut out for us, the pieces. But honestly, it's not that interesting to talk about, so we're just going to move on to this day in history. Obviously, October 7th is now one of those days that we know lives in infamy. Hamas attacked Israel in 2023, reverberations of which are still being felt today, no matter how you feel about the conflict. I had to mention it because it's something that happened. October 7th, 1868, Cornell University opened up. Go Big Red, my alma mater. And so that's this day in history. Not a lot of other interesting things have gone on October 7th. And just to close us out, now playing, I feel like I've been listening to a lot of MGMT, going back to their premiere album Oracular Spectacular, with tracks like Electric Feel, Kids, Time to Pretend, even some of their newer stuff. Congratulations, that's a great song. They've got some newer stuff out that would be interesting to listen to, and so I can kind of think of more things. But overall, I feel like we should just leave it there. I hope you have a great Tuesday, and I'll see you on the next one.